going on? You good? I'm about to sit down and record this podcast. I'll call you back in like 15 minutes.
Two black guys with good credit.
Welcome to Two Black Guys with Good Credit. We may call this One Black Guy with Good Credit today, but we're pivoting a little. I wanted to have a one-on-one discussion with my listeners, viewers, audience, and kind of just talk about this whole tariff situation and really talk about the myths, misconceptions, the truth and realities of tariffs. So I came up with a list, and I thought I would just talk through it, make it really punchy. This is the inaugural One Black Guy with Good Credit episode. So the first one is, are tariffs paid by foreign exporters? Meaning that companies that send stuff to the United States, are they paying the tariff? I guess by the news and media and how they're discussing it, but just to make truth to it, it's U.S. importers that bear the direct costs of tariffs, which are most likely passed on to American consumers through higher prices. So what does this mean is that if I have product A, like this cell phone, and I'm selling it to a merchant, a store owner in Nebraska or in New York City, I'm gonna still sell it to you if I'm selling to you at $5 a phone and tariffs are imposed, I'm still selling it to you at $5. But if there was zero tariffs, that means when you get it, you're not going to pay any kind of taxes or duties. What the government is saying now, that in order for us to release this from customs when it enters the United States, you're having to pay a fee or a tariff on top of it. And in some cases, it could be 100%. So meaning that although I sold you the phone from Japan for $5, when it gets to you in the United States, you're going to have to pay $10 for it, which would have been 100% duties or tariff on your item. So once again, what we're seeing on the news when you talk about these foreign countries and tariffs, they're not paying it. China isn't paying the tariff. Who's paying the tariff at the end is the person that's purchasing that item to resell it to you, the end consumer in the United States. Myth number 2, tariffs protect American jobs. And let me just give a disclaimer, I'm jumping all over the place. This is my interpretation, my personal interpretation. Judge me how you want to judge me. I'm just trying to give it to you as factual as I can. While sub-industries may see short-term gains, tariffs often, and this is historically, lead to job losses in sectors reliant on imported materials. For instance, in the U.S., manufacturers facing higher input costs may reduce their workforce to maintain profitability. So that means, this is an extra expense on a tight budget as it is. So it's a give or take. So for example, with me that has a logistics business, if I know I'm going to be paying more in tariffs and duties, I may not be able to give certain staff members as many hours. I may have to increase pricing to cover this cost because our margins are already tight. So I'm not seeing the protection of American jobs per se. And especially that, America has done in the last 20 or 30 years, really tried to move away from manufacturing and more get into technology. So for us to become now a manufacturing country once again, that means we're gonna have to build factories, we're gonna have to train people, we're gonna have to hire people. And do Americans really want to do, factory jobs? I'm a little biased, I'm in New York City, so there's not many factories out there. Somebody in the Midwest may say differently, that there are plenty of factory opportunities out there. But me looking at it from a global holistic standpoint, it would be hard for me to believe that America is going to be transitioning into a manufacturing country similar to China. So I'm not seeing the protection of jobs by tariffs, but others may argue differently. Tariffs will force domestic production. The assumption that tariffs will automatically lead to increased domestic manufacturing overlooks the complexities of supply chains and production capabilities. Many industries, you can't just quickly convert to cost-effective things domestically. A lot of companies aren't even little detailed parts, little trinkets that are needed in car engines or needed in computers. There's no factories here that can provide that stuff. So for you to say we're just going to open up a factory, these are engineering things that have to be created. These are technical things that have to be created. These are months and if not years of production and setting up a facility to accommodate that. So it's not a flip of a switch and all of a sudden we are producing in the United States. And in most times it will still get outsourced. They say that, I think the record is, 30% of any goods that are produced in the United States, part of it touches through Canada or Mexico. So I'm not really seeing the vision. And especially if you look at, like, not to get too political, politicians are always trying to satisfy within their term the 4 years. I can't envision that within 4 years we can become a manufacturing country because of a tariff. It's not a light switch. Now, do I think that American can get better on certain things, and as far as like making it an even playing field when it comes to trades? Yes, I do see that. But it's funny that we are the global power of the world. We are the strongest economy in the world. And I just came back from South Africa, interestingly enough, and because this tariff thing's in my head, I was in a shopping mall and I saw Forever 21, I saw New Era caps, I saw a whole list. Honestly, I was doing the math. 1 out of every 3 stores in this mall was an American-based store, from Nike, and it was just, I'm like, where is the trade imbalance? And everybody's still consuming American goods and services. I turn on the TV, CNN is there, MSNBC is there, all the American channels are there. American culture, to me, is still spread out throughout the world. It is still the number one demanded culture of the world, and everybody still wants U.S. goods and services. So do I see that there's a trade imbalance? Maybe I'm not looking at the detail, the fine print, but just taking a quick overlook, and I don't think there's too many countries you can't go, maybe the exception of North Korea and Russia, and Iran, where you don't see some form or fashion of the American culture. And I can't remember going into an American mall and seeing it like overwhelmed with foreign goods. That's just my take. And the number 5 myth, trade wars are easy to win. Trade wars typically result in mutual economical harm. Like, everybody gets hurt, everybody's scarred. The current US-China trade tensions have led to decreased trade volumes. It's led to uncertainty in the market. And the stock market is a reflection of the stock market's all over the place. And there's just a volatility. And in any economy to thrive, in any global macro, micro economy to thrive, there has to be a level of confidence. And I think what's happening now, because of these tariffs, I think the confidence is going away. And I think that it's doing more harm in the short term than good. And if you look at historic performance, this type of way to gain economic wealth for America to make its mark, I don't see anywhere in history where this will result in a favorable result. But we're going to be back with more 2 black guys with good credit. Sorry, 1 black guy with good credit. And I'm going to tell you things that are realities of the tariffs. And we'll be right back. And we're back with the 1 black guy with good credit. Hopefully there are many more black guys with good credit. We're getting into tariffs. I told you about the myths. Now I'm going to tell you about the realities of tariffs, all right? And 1, and you're seeing it for yourself, tariffs contribute to global economic slowdown. The World Trade Organization projects that a 0.2% decline in global trade for 2025, attributing much of this to escalating U.S. tariffs and resulting in trade tensions. So what does this say? People are not even, traveling as much to the U.S. due to tariffs, due to fear. Fear creates slowdown. Fear creates concern. People hold on to what they have during fearful times. And these tariffs has made not only individuals fearful, but countries that are like avoiding trading with the U.S., avoiding going into any type of agreement in the U.S. in fear that it could result in something negative. Can you imagine sitting at a table with somebody, having a discussion about forming a deal? Well, historically, this person can renege on their deal. This person can up the ante on their deal. Would you really want to sit and have a conversation with that person or sign some kind of deal? And I believe, once again, my humble opinion, tariffs has brought that fear to not only business people throughout the world, countries throughout the world. That confidence that we had with America, that belief that they're going to do by us right and we're going to grow together successfully, I think it's slowly starting to erode. Reality number two, China is adopting a long-term strategy in response. You know, China becoming, from where it came to where it fast forward to where it is today, where it was like, somewhat of a third world country to now one of the most powerful countries in the world. It's over years and decades of planning. And right now they're just re-strategizing, reforming different alliances, forming workarounds to be able to succeed. Yes, America is the strongest global economy, but America's economy does not add up to the rest of the world. And I think that's what we have to be mindful of. We also be mindful of that China holds a lot of the U.S. debt, and that is a very strong bargaining tool. If they decided to sell off the U.S. bonds that they have with the United States, it would cause our economy to almost crash, because our economy is built on the strength of the dollar and the strength that, like, hey, whatever goes wrong, the U.S. economy is always strong and stable. And if that starts to erode, then we will suffer. Once again, Shaun Linda from Two Black Guys Good Credit, humble opinion. Number three, I think I've talked about this, but it's a reality. I'm going to reinforce it. Tariffs have strained international alliances. And I think in any business, you need to have alliances. Any country needs to have allies and alliances in order to grow. Canada and Mexico, and I'm a little biased. I was actually born in Canada. But to those that know, I'm a citizen of the United States, so don't think you can send me to El Salvador because you think I am a U.S. citizen. Not natural, but I am a citizen, dual citizen. So going back to Canada would be a bad option, but I'm not going to El Salvador. Canada and Mexico, they're concerned. Who is this person in the middle now? We all succeeded, and now we're looking at something that we know nothing about. Believe it or not, we need to be able to trade with Canada and Mexico. Mexico gives us fruits, vegetables. Canada has manufacturing plants, when I drive to Canada, there's trucks back and forth. A car is made between the United States, Canada, and sometimes Mexico. It's not all built from beginning to end in one country. The car, it's getting tousled back and forth. And to now re-engineer all that, it would be a huge cost to the American people. So I think that not understanding that we need we can't stand alone on a rock and expect to succeed in the global market. Truth, consumers are feeling the pinch. I don't even need this. I think this is self-explanatory. I don't think if anybody in the United States is not feeling the pinch of this tariffs, they have to be living under a rock. I mean, it's there, it's reflective on what's going on. And if you're a patriot and you feel like I'm willing to take the short-term pinch for the long-term gain, but God bless you. But I think we as Americans, we want to make sure that our economy is always strong for us to excel in, and the government telling us selling us in the fact that it's okay, and I call this new government, and I'm not biased again, this is Shaun Linda's humble opinion, I call them the Billionaire Boys Club. If the Billionaire Boys Club say, hey, it's okay, you the non-billionaires, you take the hit for us and everything's going to be okay down the road. Hey, if you want to follow that analogy, you want to go on that, then that's a choice that you make. But I think I'm always looking for to continue to have a strong economy with little sacrifice. And the last point I want to make about the reality is that tariff policies are influencing global markets. Recent U.S. trade measures have caused significant fluctuation in global stock markets. As you can see, if you follow the market, you will know it's all over. The market is all over the place because my retirement account has been hit in the short term. Hopefully it'll gain back, but it's still been suffering. And companies like NVIDIA project substantial losses. Apple's fearful due to restricted access to the Chinese market. They're a manufacturing company, and so many things go through China that finds its way to us. And Americans, we like having access to all goods and services at the most affordable price. And I think that's just the American way in which we do things. And if China is a platform to allow us to get that, I mean, personally, I'm not seeing the downside to it, because I think in America, as far as unemployment, I think there's opportunities for everybody in America to find employment some way, somehow. And I don't think that being the strongest market, we've been able to leverage global relationships, and I think we would continue with or without tariffs. I think I'm gonna take a little break and we'll be back. So we're back with one black guy with good credit, and hopefully many more. How do I end the show? I think I'm just gonna end it with food for thought and let you think about where we are and the results of this tariff conversation. And the funny thing is, and like I said, historically, and following this government and this who's in power right now, that these things are almost like media trends. This is what's trending right now. And the scary thing is, I think 6 months from now, tariffs may not be trending. We'll be moving on to something else, which could be a good thing, to be quite honest with you. But I just want you to, as the listeners of the show, to know that these moves are impactful to us, and you have to think them through. And you really now, in these times, have to take the time to educate yourself. Cut away all the noise, do a little research, and I think in this generation, gaining access to information is so easy, so you have no excuse not to gain it. It all resides on this one little gadget we call a phone, where you can really tap into the information, and that you can really make like solid understandings and know like how to pivot your life to adjust to what's happening. And I truly believe, good or bad, anytime there's a change happening, and right now we're going through a change, there is always opportunities, but you really have to understand the change in its full content. And I think with social media in different places, like throwing things at you and shouting tariff, 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 and not really understanding what it is and the impact and who is really impacted, and understand that countries that can still send things to the United States, and they can still sell it at the same price they were always selling at. It's when it hits American soil, it's those that live on this soil that are going to be paying that tariff. So I want you guys to make decisions that's best for you and your family, but have a good understanding of what all this means. And I think that's it. I'm wrapping it up there. I'm leaving it there. Once again, I'm Shaun, Linda, two black guys, good credit, and I'm out. Peace.
Two black guys with good